So it's your boy Sean B. BrukOut in St Lucia. We are in Dennery and we're gonna have a Dennery conversation. I've got my man Sant to the left of me and I've got Dylan to the right of me. It's a Rumbar reasoning. Now, Sant, I met you at the St Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival and you was like, Shani, you have to come and do something about Dennery. And I was like, I was in this very same spot roughly about a year ago when I went to Dominica for Dominica versus Jamaica. And I was in the island literally for 10 hours and I linked Umpa. But I said I want to delve a little bit deeper because on my travels around the Caribbean, as a Dominican, that can't chat power. As a Dominican, I know Dominica has bouillon. As a Jamaican, I know that Jamaica has dancehall and reggae. I know Grenadians have jab jab. I know Bajans have the little soca raga thing, bashment. And what does St Lucia have?
Dennery Segment.
Dennery Segment. And we're in Dennery. And I know that the whole Dennery Segment thing is very close to your heart, son. Tell me,
Yes, sir.
tell me why Dennery is so close to your heart, sir.
All right, so from the time I know myself, I have always loved to support the local music. And with all the support, we've never had something that's ours to say, well, yeah, this is ours. And I threw my full support behind it, try to push it international. We've never had. When I heard that sound for the first time, I was like, what the hell is that, boy? And then my friends at the time told me, yeah, that's some fellas from the countryside. And before them, they were the Alley Cats and the Exoduses, and they had a similar style. But nothing, the only unique thing to that was the lyrics, the patois, but then they were on non-original beats. So we couldn't really claim it. When it got to that point, when it was fully original, blew my mind. I went crazy. Big up Levo and all of those before that who were doing groovy and power soca and making it somewhat original, but we never had that full, authentic St. Lucian production until we got Dennery Segment.
Dylan, give me a little history about Dennery. I know that we are at the top of the hill of Dennery, overlooking on a very horrible day that looks like Manchester in England. Very grey. But tell me about Dennery, the place.
Dennery is one of the most iconic places in St. Lucia. So St. Lucia is an island. It's relatively small in scope, but we pride ourselves on our two coasts. One being the west coast, known for the peaters and the scenic view to that side. But we have communities on our eastern coast that really have been the core of our nation for quite some time. And Dennery is one of these places where everybody knows somebody who came from Dennery. Everybody knows of the fishing community in Dennery. Everybody knows of the history of Dennery and Oleo and Dennery Valley. So it really is an amazing place to be and to have come from. My family is actually from a little bit south of here, so we travel through Dennery quite a bit as a young person. And the music coming from here back in the early 2000s, as Sant said, was just so organic. It was a voice of the young person. So like in Trinidad, where you had Calypso, that was the voice of the people, Dennery Segment for St. Lucia was a voice of the young people. So it was unabashed, it was raw, it was youthful, it was organic, and that speaks to what Dennery is as well.
Why not Castry Segment or Viewfort Segment? Why Dennery Segment? What was the ingredient that made it the Dennery Segment?
I'm not sure Castries has that level of talent. No. I may get fired. I may
I'm
get
just
fired for
doing
that.
the interviews, people.
Yeah, don't cut that out. Don't cut
Yeah,
that out.
he said that.
The Dennery Segment was a representation of a culture. Castries is not known to be that culture. We have little pockets. In Castries, the rural areas where you will get semblance of our cultural heritage. But then when you start to leave Castries, you get that feel of culture. The further you go. the more you get it. Dennery is one of those places where culture is everything. The music did not start with these artists. It started from their parents, their grandparents,
the great grandparents,
great grandparents, right? What we call solo and the serenal. Yeah, which is strictly
that's right.
drums
And chanting over the drums.
Yeah, and chanting, and that's what really makes the Dennery segment. And the guys really infuse that into something futuristic.
When you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is obviously that standout Dennery song, which is Freezy Split in the Middle. That's the one song that you know, said boom. Internationally, everybody knows. Even though Motto and all these guys be doing like, would you say Motto is soca then? Or is Motto Dennery? I'm saying dangerous crowds here.
Nah, Moto dabbles in everything.
Okay.
He definitely does Dennery. He is the international Dennery, let's put it that way.
Okay. Now, the reason why I said Freezy, because I hear the drums. Like, the way the drums was knocking, and it was literally just about drums. And then you hear boom, split in the middle, and that was it. And then the drums are going. What was the name of that rhythm? I know it began with M.
What's the
It's
name?
That's not the Malawi rhythm.
Yeah, it is.
It's
It
Malawi
is.
rhythm?
Yeah, Malawi.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think
it's
so.
Malawi. It's Malawi.
I think so.
Malawi rhythm. And that's what I remember. So is that the signature sounds of Dennery?
You-
Hard-hitting drums, simple drums, and energy.
I've actually spoken to a number of St Lucian producers, great talented producers who say they can't make Dennery segment. Because as you build a rhythm bed and you start to embellish, it starts to lose that rawness, and all of a sudden it's no longer Dennery segment. So keeping in mind that you started off with just loops, and when you started to build actual Dennery segment rhythms, they were just so raw that you couldn't do much to it, or you lost the essence, and that's why the drums is such a large component of the Dennery segment.
You say loops. Where were they getting these loops from? Where were the drums coming from?
There's this song. Yes, my name's are with the S, and I will leave your stress. From party
Who am I?
time. Right.
Who am I? Who am I? Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I am the rhythm. I am the bass. So that song starts off with strictly percussions. So that's one of the most popular songs that started, well, before the Dennery segment. And we had people like Ricky T on that song. Fair boy, that was a loop of that song.
Just a loop.
Just a loop.
Just a loop of the rhythm.
Intro to that
yeah,
song.
the intro to that song, just a loop of the rhythm.
What's very interesting, because if you take it back to hip hop and what Cool Herc brought to America, it was about the break. It's
Yeah.
about the loop.
Yeah, just
and
loop.
what it seems like, and it's the loop kind of signifies, it's a signature of the club. Because we just want to hear that, the best bit
Yeah.
in the club and the energy in the club. And it sounds like that's what Dennery segment is. It's like
Pretty much.
that energy, that 4-bar loop, and let's go to town and spit lyrics. So who were the people that brought it to the forefront?
We're talking about Dennery segment still, right? We have to mention names like Studio 911. And then we have to explain when we mention certain names. When we mention Studio 911, we're talking about the inception of Dennery segment. So at that point, he just knew he wanted to bring something new, something authentic. I don't think he was thinking genre at that time. So he started it off, and then in that same area, that same stretch of road called Grand Ravine in the Dennery Valley.
Is that where we just came from?
No.
Okay.
Where we came from is Dennery.
Okay.
Dennery South, Dennery North has a number of communities. One of them called Grand Ravine. Stretch of road, Studio 911, that's where he's from. He stumbled onto something not with the intention of creating a new genre. He was doing very well. From the time you have something new doing very well, other people want to come on it, right? So here comes Subban Smitey and a studio called Jamming Entertainment with Jason, Satish, Swiftner, DRC. They continued from what Studio 911 was doing, but they went a step further. when it started to be consistent. We're like, "Oh, we can make a genre out of that." It started to sound like the Angolan Kuduro. So then we got the idea at the time, well, let's call it Lucian Kuduro. We tried to push that.
What year kind of time span was this?
Anywhere between 2013, 2014,
14, yeah.
15, anywhere around there.
that time.
Right? So at that time, we tried to push Lucian Kuduro. It started to take off, I would say, within the radio stations and the DJs, persons who were really interested in it. But the main persons who were the fans, are like, nah,
The Dennery segment.
yeah, Lucian
How did-
Kuduro thing, nah.
Where did the fans get to hear it? Because I know we went out on the beachfront there, the little fishing village. There was a certain element of passion that came into both of your conversation when you were chatting about Shawnee. This is the spot right here where. Tell me about that spot that we just came from.
So you're talking about the bayfront in Dennery. Even areas like that where you would have had just outside of Dennery in Castries and Beaufort, there's areas where persons just meet up and they freestyle, which is where Dennery segment really came from. It's that freestyling, that chanting on a beat. So in these little pockets, in these areas in Barbono, in Beaufort, wherever persons went, where they would commune and just have a beat going by and you just get to freestyle and loop and come up with some ingenious phrase that you're going to weave in through the beat. And all of a sudden that becomes the popular hook or the popular line. And now we're now singing everything just to that line. And all of a sudden we have that freestyle that, somebody just records rudimentary, just recording on something. And that gets its way to a DJ who wants to be the DJ to put this out. Because he heard this little, verse that somebody freestyled on. I want my grouping to hear this. I want my followers, my listeners to hear this. So that DJ will just play this. And everybody goes, yo, you need to hear that again. And all of a sudden you're playing at a party next week and you go and you just play that song and people go, yes. So there became a point in time where at every party, DJs would go to their list of 6, 7, 8, 9 songs that had that kind of a theme to it. And the persons who were at the party would start asking, yo, can I get a Dennery segment? That's that segment in the fete where you play the Dennery songs.
The 8,
And
9
that-
songs that he may have received.
Exactly. And now it's time to build from 8, 9 songs to 15 songs to 20 songs. And now you have a full genre of the Dennery segment songs.
This sounds like a story that I've kind of heard before, several times as a matter of fact. And it was spawned and kind of driven by BlackBerry, WhatsApp, and people actually having these songs and just sharing it on their own, like internal social medias amongst each other. And then all of a sudden a song pops. Is that the way it kind of worked over here?
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially.
BlackBerry pin.
Yeah. At that point, a number of things caused the shift towards the Dennery segment. One of them was the fact that when one DJ would hear another DJ play and see how it turned up the party. So now they're looking for it too. So there was a point in time where DJs were actually fighting to see who could bust the next Dennery segment.
So what was the breakout song that really made that happen? That song, that main song. We know it as Split in the Middle, Freezy. That's the one that I would tell you that I know.
No, but like we're going back all the way into the early 2000s where you had the genesis of Dennery segment songs. So you're looking at songs like Buy Gas and going all the way back
Yeah.
to that time.
So, yeah.
Well before Split in the Middle was a thing.
Yeah. So just to go back a little bit, these songs, again on loops, the similarity within these songs and the Dennery segment would be the chants, the patois, without the beat, chants, patois. And these went on dancehall, so whatever they could get them on. So big up Alicat, big up Mad Ellie,
Mad Ellie, Exodus.
Cookie.
Yeah.
These guys would sing on any rhythms. I think Cookie was on Cookie was on Dennery segment. I think that's the time we were still calling it Lucian Kuduro. So Cookie was this young boy singing Kwasi Pak, Shack Shack. Fair weather for Shack Shack. You're talking about primary school?
Oh, wow. Now, tell me what those lyrics
That's
are.
crazy.
That's what I want, though. My Lucian producer is looking at me like, no, you don't want to know. What were those lyrics?
Yeah, fair weather for Shack Shack, Kwasi Pak. And he did a music video. Imagine a little, how old was he? He was
Like
he was in his
13?
teens.
Yeah, I was like
Only-
13 at the time.
Yeah, with endless girls shaking their ass. That's crazy. That did not help the new segment. I can tell you that for sure. But what I was saying is, back in that era, it led up to the Dennery segment. So the lyrics, the flow, the artists we know as Dennery segment now continued that into the new genre. So we have a set of artists before Dennery segment was coined who paved the way. Up to jazz. I don't know if you heard Ricky T set.
We actually missed it because of the traffic.
Oh shit. Ricky T was singing one of his famous songs on a loop. And he said, "This is where Kuduro started." And he was right.
Wow.
Yeah, he was right. Yeah, that's true. You know? So we have those artists who kind of paved the way. They set something up. Then we have the breakout artists who came with, but I can't remember any of the songs right now, but they had some songs in the early era of Dennery segment, which actually made way for a genre.
Do you exclusively have to come from the Dennery region of St Lucia to create Dennery, or can you come from anywhere on the island?
No. It's just a sound that everybody knows Dennery segment when they hear Dennery segment. And as I said, the persons from, the Soufrian, the Grosilian, the Castries, who didn't know what really that was, who heard that voice and who heard that beat when that's a Dennery segment song. So you have producers and artists from throughout the island who understand how to produce that kind of music and how to sing on that kind of music. And regardless as to where they come from, it's acknowledged that those songs are Dennery segment.
So that actually caused a little bit of a controversy.
More than a little bit.
It tried
More than
almost.
a little bit.
When the name Dennery segment came about, being that not all the artists, I mean, you're not talking about any artist, talking about artists who are recognized in the music, in that part of the music. When that name came about, they were not happy. I remember one set of artists saying, "Nah, we're not on that Dennery segmenting, Babono segment." So they were trying to push a Babono segment. But it was a national shift at that time. Remember, we were at a meeting trying to figure out a name.
A name, because
When they
people from
Caribbean have a
Babono
little
are saying it's
small need,
Babono. Viewfort is saying it's Viewfort segment.
Bexar segment.
Bexar is saying they have their own thing. And you're going into parties, and the people at the parties are saying, but that's the Dennery segment. So you're trying
want
to
Dennery
quell
segment,
the views of the artists. And essentially, you have to accept that the views of the listeners, because that's really why the music is being made, it's for them. And they were still in the party saying, Peter Dennery segment. So Dennery segment kind of won out.
After this trip, I'm going to get a T-shirt that says, "As a Dominican," because that's my reference points. So, as a Dominican, when I hear Bouillon, when I was in Dominica last year and I spoke to like Taffy, I spoke to TK International, a couple of the other guys, I said to them, when I hear Bouillon, it sounds like a youthful expression of the original Bouillon that would have come from the likes of Kassav and these kind of people. WCK and these people. Now, when I hear the expression of Dennery, it feels again like that youthful expression of the music from St Lucia. Just in the same way that if I listen to Skeng, Valiant, or any of these guys from Jamaica, they have pushed the boundaries of what Jamaican music is, i.e. the lyrical content. Talk to me about the lyrical content of Dennery music.
So, you're right. I guess we can call it a generational shift.
Yep.
So, the lyrical content goes way back. From even before some of those artists I mentioned earlier. We're talking about all the way back to the Cesen Descats. And Cesen Descat is cultural. She's a national icon. but we cannot go around the fact
Her lyrics are dirty.
that
Bro, we've been listening Mighty Sparrow the whole time that we've been on the island. And I grew up on Mighty Sparrow, yeah?
Yeah.
And I got the, what's the song? Sa, yeah.
Okay.
I got the lyrical breakdown of that. Sparrow's a
Okay.
bad man, yeah? Sparrow. Is that what my father was listening to? Yo. Shaky at the very least.
Okay.
In 2025, I don't
Alright.
think he would get away with that.
Yeah,
You get
yeah,
me?
well-
I think he would catch a case.
well, Sister Niskan was a bad girl. Just put it that way. Right? And there were others in her era, in her time. I mean, she was probably the most recognized. But then there were the little solo groups around the country, in the communities, singing about things happening in the
In
community.
the communities, right?
That maybe you living in the community, you don't know about, but you're just hearing them singing like, what they talking about? That's reality that actually happened.
We know what goes on in the small villages and
There you go.
communities in the Caribbean.
There you go. What you find right now is guys are doing the same thing. Singing about what they see, singing about what they know. They're singing about what the fans want.
Is there a kickback from the elders? Is there a kickback from like churches? Is there a kickback from government about the lyrical content?
There has been, and I don't think it will stop. But I think when Dennery Segment graduated from some persons in their free time who were freestyling on some loops to some persons like Jamming Records and 911 who understood we're trying to work with this and create this as its own thing. You had persons who had a love for music and had some time on their hands and were playing around and fooling around with what was becoming, were finding themselves. So you had artists who were sitting down in their living rooms, just creating something generic to you, but for them, it was something that they didn't even understand at that point in time. And we found something novel in it, and eventually came to a point where we realized that in the St. Lucian context, if you were walking down the street, and I was saying that to you earlier, if you were walking down the street and there was a crowd there and you fell, that night or the following day, there would be a Dennery Segment saying, Dylan fell. So it came to a point where everybody was waiting for a Dennery Segment when you heard something. And the artists would heed the call. So as a Dennery Segment artist, it was almost a duty of yours if something happened. So, I mean, a
That's the
woman
that's the Caribbean music way.
goes viral and says, well, boy, I have the motivator. Oh, well, cool. Then, yeah, I'll put a song tonight, motivator. That's how quick Dennery Segment was. So if you were DJing at a party today, there was a strong chance a Dennery Segment came out in the last week that you could drop at the party on a Friday. That is how quick
Very
Dennery Segment
current.
was. And it became something that the entire population started to rally around because this is ours. This is always fresh. And that's why we love Dennery Segment like we do.
French Caribbean music has seen a definite growth over the last couple of years. Is Dennery part of that whole movement as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, certainly.
I think so. We like to say, boy, let me not say that because that's a little controversial.
You're controversial.
Trying to
you
get in
can you can cut that part out. The shift for Dennery came in about 2017, and that shifted everything, including Carnival. About that time, our Carnival, it was being recognized internationally, and I think that just took it and just blew it up. So I think Booyah came maybe a couple years after that.
Reimagined Booyah.
Yeah, the reimagined.
The
No, sorry,
reimagined
not
Booyah.
Booyah. Sorry,
Nasty
The
business.
Nasty business. Let me tell you, I don't want to get in no trouble with anybody. So around 2017, we got that international shift, along with the Dennery Segment that's split in the middle, Bad in Bam Bam, and our Carnival, our tourism, just St Lucia on the whole, just shifted together with that. Wow. Yeah.
What's the percentage of Dennery during Carnival then?
Dennery isn't a carnival music. That's the
Wow.
thing that people don't realize. Dennery is not carnival. So as much as soca music comes out around the time that you're preparing for carnival and calypsonians write their songs thinking about the carnival season, Dennery Segment is year round.
Here's a question for the people around the world. Is Dennery soca?
No.
Is Dennery
No.
soca?
No. No, Dennery is fused with
Too many things
too
to call
many
it
things to
soca,
call
yeah.
it soca.
Are we looking at a shift in the Caribbean where everything that wasn't dancehall and reggae fell under the umbrella, no pun because the rain is falling, but fell under the umbrella of soca? When I spoke to TK International last year, they were very adamant that bouillon is bouillon. Bouillon is not soca.
Soca. I
No
agree.
disrespect to Trinidad, but bouillon is bouillon. Dennery is Dennery. Is that the way that St Lucia is looking at it?
I believe so. And I would stand on that same platform. To my mind, when you learn writing, you learn how to properly put beats together. There are general tools that you would use regardless as to what genre you're playing with. So whether you're dealing with soca, you're dealing with Dennery Segment, you're dealing with bouillon, there's general ingredients to how you put a rhythm together, to how you do certain things. And I agree with that. But a strictly soca producer doesn't just end up making a Dennery Segment. There's ingredients to Dennery Segment that are in Dennery Segment only that has come there because of the history of Dennery Segment. So if you go to a solo or a CONL and you see these people chanting, you see the history of Dennery Segment in that. If you go through Castries and you're passing certain game shops and blocks back in the late 90s, you see the history of Dennery Segment there. That's not tied into soca at all. That is just the genesis of an entirely different kind of music that came from St Lucia.
What about the international appeal? Just recently, Molly put up a video of her Baki, and I saw a post underneath it that says Afro pop dancehall soca. I said, right under the comments, I goes, no, this is bouillon. The likes. I was like, yes, the Dominican. As a Dominican, it was like the likes. Everyone was like, yes, Sean, this is bouillon. But to see somebody like that is dabbling with music from Jamaica, and she comes from Ghana, it's taking Caribbean music to that next place. Where do you see Dennery on the international market?
I have this notion that the world is constantly looking for something new. Dennery Segment was new at the time. The world caught a whiff. They took it and they ran with it. After came Nasty Business. Bashman Soca had its time. Soca had its time. Still going
Jam
strong.
had its time. Yep.
Right? Afrobeats had its time. And it's just a circle.
I hear you.
It's a circle. I think everybody is going to get the chance. But you must put in the work. Dennery Segment, there was a lull. It's kind of quiet for a time. Different reasons why. But I think the artist knows the importance. I think that I honestly think that lull was necessary, just for a wake up call. So no more the artists. I just focus on the artist for now. I think that quiet period was a wake up call. I think they saw what a period with Dennery Segment, a period without Dennery Segment was like. So as of late last year, I saw a shift where artists, producers just started coming by wake up and they started putting stuff out. I think it's very soon before we get another song going viral and then to move on to international.
I think we're seeing a rise in all of this music, and I'll keep it 100% real, because what we was getting from dancehall, we don't really get as much from dancehall, which is that dancing, which is that groove, which is that rock, which just makes the woman them move. You get what I'm saying? And things like Dennery, things like bouillon, things like soca still rest on that groove that I want to dance.
Yeah.
I want to back it up more and BrukOut. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Not so much of the dancehall that it's coming from Jamaica, right? It's more stand up and boo, 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 all of that. Y'all them want bubble. You get what I'm saying? And I feel that the Caribbean music is actually filling that gap, whilst Jamaica's forgotten about that gap slightly.
Yeah, and I think there's also a little bit of a liking for not knowing exactly what you're listening to. So the person in the US who doesn't speak Creole at all they can feel it. They can't understand it, but they
can't
can
understand
feel. No, they can feel when they're hearing this music and it moves them, and they don't know, and they come into the islands and they're like, what is he saying? But they know, they feel that music and what it's doing to them. And I think that's something that Dennery Segment, Bouillon, and lots of nasty business, they don't always understand it. Even if Afrobeats, we are guilty of it. We don't know a lot of the times what they're saying, but you just feel the music. And that's what we bring.
I gotta say this, Bouillon, they understand. Bitch, do you miss me? I'm sitting on my toilet drinking whiskey. Put your hand in your pussy. They understand that, bro. There's nothing
Some of them they do.
There.
Some of them they do.
Understand that.
Appreciate to that.
Knowing that lyrical content is so close to Bouillon, whatever, very. Is it tongue in cheek? Is it like Sparrow? Or is it rude? Is it cheeky? What do you see it as?
I see it as natural. It's conversation.
It's honest.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you wouldn't say around your mother. Doesn't mean you don't think it. It doesn't mean you don't say it when you're with your friends when you go over to their house. But you wouldn't say it and have your mother hear it.
Exactly.
Dennery Segment is what you would say when you're liming with your friends at their house when the parents are not there. And what persons want to hear a lot of the time is you to sing what you would have sang while your mom was actually standing
You know, it's even more scary. Mama used to sing these songs.
Exactly.
Mama
Papa
used
was
to
singing those songs.
Papa was singing sa sa. Yeah, he was singing that song, fam. He was singing Congo Man. He was singing all of that.
Saltfish.
He was singing. My dad was singing all of that.
Yeah.
With his whiskey in his hand, smiling.
Yeah.
Daddy.
And you were 5 or 6. One
You
thing
were
your
5 or 6.
father's walking through the house, not singing the
And
words
he's
sweeter than saltfish.
He probably got my mom on one of those songs. Yeah.
It's a hard thought sometimes. Does the Dennery get radio support knowing the lyrical content?
It has gone through waves of support and lack thereof. So it's been placed in purgatory sometimes, but when the people want it, you have no choice.
You had no choice.
There was literally a period where you would have Dennery Segment banned on radio, and you would have people calling in saying, play the Dennery Segment. Where's the Dennery Segment? And you'd have one or two brave DJs who would say, you know what? I'm going to play a song and risk, getting in trouble, but they would play one or two songs, and then they would go back into this period where Dennery Segment is playing on the radio, and then people would go, oh no, that new song is too lewd. Ban it again. And it went through a few months of back and forth. But now I think we've embraced it a little bit more in certain respects. So
to close, what's next for Dennery Segment? Who's the next artist to come through?
I think there's space for everybody and everything. There's space for all of these genres. In St Lucia, our St Lucian parties, we play all genres. All. So there's space for everything. I don't see a need for a fight. And if you ask me, I think genres like Dennery Segment came out of artists being fought against, even at the production level.
100%. Computers are available to everyone now. People sit down with a mic in their yard, do what they got to do.
Yeah, some of these artists, they may be afraid to tell you, but they would have gone to our big production houses and say, I want to write a song. And then they will sing a song that's similar to a Dennery Segment, and they're like, I'm not recording that. So then they had to go back to their living rooms and record on headphones. Those same songs became hits and is now a genre. There is space for everybody, there's space for everything. We have a lot of artists coming up. You will speak to one in a while. And I was very particular in bringing him here. There is the artist who made what we know now as the Dennery Segment. And with everything, somebody has to carry it along. We have a lot of artists who right now are just waiting for their turn. Support, I literally will support all of them.
There was one song. Political answer still. I feel like I'm in Jamaica. Can't call nobody name. You get paid in the morning.
There was one song back in the day I thought was trash. I honestly thought that
What
song,
song
was
was that?
trash. I will not say.
Come on,
I will
man.
not say.
Obviously, it became a
That
hit.
song is one of the biggest songs right now. One of the biggest songs right now. And that taught me, yo, it doesn't matter what you think.
It's what the people them want.
That's right.
100%. Dylan?
Yeah, I agree completely. There is always room for being yourself. And if Dennery Segment taught me something, it taught me that. So as much as I may not like this kind of music, if that's what your soul, how your soul speaks to you, and that's what you want to put out, somebody might want to hear that. I may not want to, but somebody might want to hear that. And that's why you have so many things going viral and people are wondering, why is everybody into that? Because what speaks to him is speaking to a lot of persons. There's 7-8 billion people in the world.
That's how love songs are made, bro. You get on
So-
somebody's gone through that experience and
Somebody's
written
gone
it down.
through that. So for me, all of the Dennery Segment artists, all the producers, all the up and coming artists, all the aspiring artists, and all the people who just feel like they have something they want to say. I may not have thought about the fact that this girl was bad in Bum Bum.
I was just about to say, you literally took it out of my
But
mind.
somebody sat down one day,
You're not good at
was
maths
sitting in
or
class,
English.
trying to,
But you're
and said,
bad in
listen,
Bum
that
Bum."
girl is bad in Bum Bum, you know. And went home and said, you know what? I'm going to write a song and say that. That's a love song.
It is a love song.
That is a love
It is a
song.
love
That is a
song.
ballad to a young
Hold on,
lady.
do you know how much girl want to hear that?
Yeah.
You know how much
She-
girl don't have no
she-
D's and E's and F's and U's
but
and
she-
unders
my
and
girl,
fighting bum
listen,
bum.
She ain't no father.
She
She
wants
doesn't
a,
matter.
She wants a straight A in
The
bum
fact
bum.
is, you're on the principles honor roll
Of bum
in
bum.
Bum Bum. My girl, you have worth and value. So somebody wants to hear your message. And don't stop until the person who wants to hear it hears it.
I think that's a perfect way to close off. Listen, great conversation. Blessings every time.
Big up Shawnee B. BrukOut.
Bad.
All right.